All right, so today we're taking a deep dive into something really fascinating, the link between creativity and mental well-being.
Yeah.
We got a whole bunch of research here that basically shows that, expressing yourself creatively can actually improve your mental health.
It's incredible.
And I'm so ready.
How much research there is on this.
I have my mind blown by this.
Yeah.
So let's just jump right into it. Let's start with stress.
I feel like everybody's got stress, but apparently creativity can help.
It really can.
Yeah.
Creative activities can trigger the release of feel-good chemicals in your brain. And it also lowers cortisol, which is the main stress hormone.
Well, so it's like a natural stress reliever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's a study that I think really highlights this. It's by Kaimel Elaylar. It was back in 2016.
Yeah.
And basically they had participants just spend 45 minutes making visual art. And they found that it significantly lowered their cortisol levels.
Wow.
And what's really interesting is that they saw this effect regardless of whether people considered themselves to be artistic or not. So you don't have to be a pro to get the stress-busting benefit.
Exactly.
That's good to know. I'm not very artistic. But I'm guessing it goes deeper than just feeling good in the moment, right?
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot more to it. Creativity can also help us process our emotions, especially difficult ones.
Okay.
Think about art therapy. For example, it's not about creating a masterpiece or anything. It's about using the creative process to express and work through challenging emotions.
Yeah.
And this can be incredibly helpful for people who are dealing with, grief or trauma or even depression.
Yeah, it's like giving those emotions a tangible form,
Mm.
a way to release them.
Mm.
I've also heard about expressive writing. Does that fall under this umbrella?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Pennebaker did some work back in the late 90s that showed that writing about emotionally significant events for just 15 minutes a day for 4 consecutive days actually led to a reduction in anxiety symptoms, and that lasted for 6 months.
Wow.
What's really interesting is that just recounting events factually wasn't as effective as exploring your emotional responses to them.
Wow. So it's not just about getting it out, it's about processing and understanding it.
Right.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so we've got stress relief and emotional processing. What else does this creativity toolbox have to offer?
This is where it gets really fascinating. Creativity can actually help us tap into a state of flow. Had you ever been so absorbed in an activity that you completely lose track of time?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
For me, it happens when I'm writing. It's like everything else just fades away.
That's a perfect example of flow. Psychologists define it as a state of intense focus and complete absorption in an activity. And it's characterized by this sense of effortless action where you're fully immersed in what you're doing. And you're so engaged that you lose your sense of self-consciousness and time seems to disappear.
I can definitely see how that would be beneficial for mental health.
It is. Flow is linked to increased happiness, reduced anxiety, and even improved focus. And it's not just a temporary feeling. These positive effects can actually last even after you've finished the activity.
So it's not just about feeling good while you're in the flow. It's about building mental resilience and a sense of accomplishment.
Exactly. Flow helps us develop a sense of mastery and control, which can boost our self-esteem and confidence in other areas of our lives as well.
Okay, so we've covered stress relief, emotional processing, and flow. I'm already convinced that creativity is a superpower.
Right.
But I know there's even more to it.
We bet. Yeah, the engaging in creative activities can literally change your brain for the better.
Wait, really? How does that work?
It's all thanks to something called neuroplasticity, which is the brain's incredible ability to form new neural connections and rewire itself.
So you're saying that doing something creative can actually change the physical structure of our brains?
Yes. Think of it like a workout for your brain. When you engage in creative activities, you're challenging your brain to think in new and innovative ways, which forces it to form new neural pathways and strengthen existing ones. This makes your brain more adaptable and resilient, which in turn can improve your ability to handle stress, regulate your emotions, and even learn new skills.
Wow, so it's like giving our brains a superpower upgrade.
Right.
But how does all of this rewiring actually translate to better mental health?
One of the key ways is through improved emotional regulation. When you engage in creative activities, you're actually activating areas of the brain that are involved in processing emotions, like the prefrontal cortex.
Okay.
And this helps you develop better control over your emotional responses, making you more resilient in the face of stress and challenges.
So it's like creativity is giving us the tools to manage our emotions more effectively.
Exactly. And for people who might struggle to express their emotions verbally, something like art therapy can be particularly helpful. It provides a safe and constructive outlet for processing difficult emotions through nonverbal expression.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like having a whole different language to communicate what's going on inside. This is all pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So we've got creativity helping us deal with stress, process, emotions, achieve flow, and literally rewiring our brains for the better. Is there anything else?
Well, there's plenty more. But I think it's time we move on to some specific examples of how different types of creative activities can benefit our mental well-being. Are you ready to explore that?
Absolutely. Let's dive in. All right, so we've established that creativity is like pretty much amazing for our mental health.
Yeah.
But what does that look like in practice? What are some specific creative activities we can explore?
Yeah, that's a great question.
And how do they actually benefit us?
Let's start with something that I think a lot of people are drawn to: visual arts.
Okay.
So, painting, drawing, sculpting, all of these activities have been shown to be incredibly therapeutic. They can give you a tangible way to express your emotions, reduce anxiety, and even improve your focus.
Yeah, I can see that. Even just doodling can be a great way to clear your head when you're feeling stressed.
Exactly. And it's not just about the act of creating itself. It's also about engaging with the materials, the colors, the textures, the shapes.
Yeah.
It gives your brain a break from all the verbal chatter and allows you to process things in a more visual and intuitive way.
It's like tapping into a different part of your brain.
Right.
And for people who struggle to express themselves verbally, I imagine visual arts can be an even more powerful tool.
Absolutely. It can be incredibly liberating to communicate and process emotions through art.
Yeah, for sure. So we've got visual arts, but what about music?
Yeah.
I know we touched on music therapy earlier.
Right.
But I'm curious to hear more about the specific benefits of engaging with music, both listening and creating.
Oh, yeah.
I'm all ears. Music is such a big part of my life. I'd love to understand how it's actually impacting my brain.
Well, music truly is a universal language. It has this amazing ability to evoke a wide range of emotions, reduce stress, and even improve cognitive function.
Yeah, I've definitely experienced that mood-boosting effect of listening to my favorite upbeat playlist.
Yeah.
It's like an instant mood shift.
And there's a scientific explanation for that. Music activates the reward system in your brain, releasing dopamine and other feel-good chemicals. But it's not just about passive listening. Playing a musical instrument has its own set of incredible benefits.
Yeah, I've always wanted to learn an instrument. What makes it so beneficial?
Well, learning to play an instrument is like a full brain workout. It involves coordination, memory, creativity, and all of these things work together to enhance cognitive function and promote neuroplasticity.
So on top of being fun and expressive, it's literally making my brain stronger.
Exactly.
That's pretty motivating.
And let's not forget about the social aspect of music,
Right.
Joining a choir or band, or even just jamming with friends. These activities foster a sense of community belonging and shared purpose, which are all so important for mental well-being.
It's like this amazing combination of individual expression and connection with others.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got visual arts, music. What other creative avenues can we explore?
Writing is another powerful tool for self-expression, emotional processing, and stress reduction. And the great thing is that there are so many different forms, journaling, poetry, storytelling. You can really find what resonates with you.
Yeah, I've always found journaling to be incredibly helpful. It's like having a conversation with yourself on paper, where you can process your thoughts and emotions without judgment.
That's exactly it. Writing gives you the space to make sense of your experiences, gain clarity, and sometimes even find solutions to problems that have been weighing you down.
It's like decluttering your mind.
Right.
And making room for new insights.
And we can't forget about the power of storytelling. Sharing our stories with others, whether through writing or spoken word, creates connection, fosters empathy, and can even inspire hope.
It's like weaving our individual experiences into a larger tapestry of human connection. I love that. But we've been talking a lot about activities that are more solitary. Are there creative outlets that are more physically expressive and interactive?
Absolutely. Dance and drama come to mind immediately. These forms of creative expression involve movement, physicality, and often collaboration.
Oh yeah, dance has always been a passion of mine. It's such a freeing and expressive way to move your body and release pent-up energy.
And it's not just about physical release, it's about emotional expression as well. Dance allows you to communicate feelings that might be difficult to put into words, using your body as the instrument.
It's like your body becomes a channel for your emotions.
Exactly. And then there's drama. Through acting, you can explore different perspectives, step outside of yourself, and develop empathy for others.
It's like trying on different personalities.
Yes.
And seeing the world through new eyes. It sounds both challenging and liberating.
Right.
I'm sensing a theme here. All of these creative activities seem to offer a way to expand our horizons and experience the world in a new way.
That's a great observation. Whether it's through visual arts, music writing, dance, or drama creativity, gives us permission to play, experiment, and explore without fear of judgment.
It's like giving ourselves the freedom to be curious and discover new ways of being in the world. I'm really starting to see the value in embracing that playful, experimental side of ourselves.
And in that space of play and exploration, we often find our greatest insights and moments of growth.
This is all making me want to go out and try a million different creative things. But before we do that, I'm really curious to understand the science behind how creativity actually changes our brains. We talked about neuroplasticity earlier, but can we dive a bit deeper into that?
Absolutely. It's fascinating stuff. As we mentioned, neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections. And one of the best ways to stimulate this process is through engaging in creative activities.
So it's like we're literally rewiring our brains for the better when we do something creative.
Exactly. When we're engaged in creative activities, our brains are constantly being challenged to think in new ways, to come up with innovative solutions to make connections that weren't there before. This pushes our brains to create new pathways and strengthen existing ones, making them more adaptable and resilient overall.
It's like building mental muscle through creative exercise.
That's a great analogy. And the benefits of a more adaptable brain go way beyond creativity. It can improve our ability to handle stress, regulate our emotions, and even learn new skills more effectively.
So it's like this amazing positive feedback loop.
Yeah.
The more we engage in creative activities, the more our brains benefit and the better we become at handling all sorts of challenges.
You got it. But there's another fascinating piece of the puzzle here. Creative activities have been shown to increase levels of something called BDNF in the brain.
BDNF, that sounds important. What is it exactly?
BDNF stands for brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and it's basically like fertilizer for the brain. It supports the growth and survival of neurons, which are the fundamental building blocks of our brains. And guess what? Studies have shown that engaging in creative activities, things like playing music or painting, can actually boost BDNF levels.
So creativity is not only strengthening the connections between neurons,
right,
it's actually helping to create new ones.
Exactly. It's like giving your brain a double dose of love. And here's the best part. These benefits are available to everyone, no matter your age or perceived artistic talent.
This is mind-blowing. But I'm curious, how does all this brain rewiring and neuron boosting translate to greater resilience?
Yeah.
I know we touched on that earlier, but I'd love to hear more.
Well, think about what resilience really means. It's the ability to bounce back from adversity, to cope with stress, to adapt, to change. And it turns out that creativity plays a key role in developing those skills.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
How so?
Well, when you're engaged in creative activities, you're constantly challenging yourself, trying new things, and sometimes even failing. Think about how many times you started drawing a song or a story and ended up scrapping it and starting over.
Oh, all the time. It can be frustrating.
Right.
But I guess it's part of the process.
Exactly. And each time you face a challenge and overcome it or even just learn from your mistakes, you're building resilience.
It's like developing mental toughness through creative experimentation.
That's a great way to put it. And creativity also helps us develop coping mechanisms. When you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed, engaging in a creative activity can provide a healthy outlet for your emotions, way to process them and move through them.
So it's like having a toolkit of stress-busting techniques at your disposal. Exactly. And the more you practice these techniques, the better equipped you become to handle whatever life throws your way.
This is all making so much sense. Creativity helps us build resilience by teaching us to embrace challenges, learn from our mistakes, and develop healthy coping mechanisms. But how does all of this brain rewiring and resilience building actually translate to improved mental health in the long run? That's what I'm really curious about.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And I think the answer lies in the fact that creativity helps us develop a more positive and flexible mindset.
Okay, tell me more.
Think about it. When we engage in creative activities, we're constantly stepping outside our comfort zones, exploring new possibilities, and seeing the world from different perspectives.
It's like we're expanding our mental horizons.
Right.
And challenging our assumptions about what's possible.
Exactly. And this process of expansion and exploration naturally leads to a more flexible and adaptable mindset. Instead of getting stuck in rigid patterns of thinking, we're able to approach challenges with a more open and creative outlook.
So it's like developing mental agility, allowing us to navigate the ups and downs of life with more grace and ease.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And that flexible mindset is key to managing stress, coping with change, and maintaining a positive outlook on life.
This is all starting to click into place. But there's something else, isn't there? It's not just about flexibility, it's about something deeper, right?
You're right. Creativity also helps us cultivate a sense of purpose and meaning in our lives.
That's so true, but how does it do that?
Think about the times when you're completely absorbed in a creative activity, when you're in that flow state we talked about earlier. There's this deep sense of fulfillment and joy that comes from those moments.
It's like finding your passion and losing yourself in something you truly love.
Exactly. And that sense of flow and passion can spill over into other areas of your life, giving you a renewed sense of purpose and direction.
It's like creativity is reminding us of what truly matters and helping us align our actions with our values.
And when we feel that sense of purpose and meaning in our lives, we're naturally more resilient, motivated, and optimistic.
Okay, we've got flexibility, purpose, meaning, and a whole lot of brain-boosting goodness.
Goodness.
I'm starting to think creativity is the ultimate life hack for happiness and well-being.
I think you might be on to something there. And the best part is, all of these benefits are available to everyone, regardless of age, background, or artistic talent.
It's so empowering to know that we all have this incredible potential within us just waiting to be unlocked. But sometimes it feels like life gets in the way. We get busy, stressed, and it's easy to let those creative pursuits fall by the wayside. So how do we make sure we're nurturing our creativity, even when life gets hectic?
That's a great question, and I think it's the perfect segue into the final part of our deep dive. Are you ready to explore some practical tips for integrating creativity into our daily lives?
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
All right, so we've spent this whole deep dive exploring just how powerful creativity can be for our mental well-being.
Yeah.
But if it's so beneficial, why don't we do it more often? Like, what holds us back from embracing our creative sides?
That's a great question. I think there are a few common culprits. One major hurdle is the limiting beliefs that we often have about our own creative abilities.
Yeah.
We might tell ourselves that, we're not artistic enough or that we just don't have the talent.
Oh, I totally get that imposter syndrome can be a real creativity killer.
Exactly.
I know, I've definitely felt it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this voice in your head saying, like, who are you to even try this?
Right. And then there's the fear of judgment. Putting your creative work out there can feel incredibly vulnerable.
Yeah.
And we might worry about what others will think.
Right.
Or even worse, that we'll be ridiculed or rejected.
Yeah, it's like this fear of being exposed, of not being good enough. And honestly, sometimes life just gets in the way.
Right.
We get busy, we get stressed, we get overwhelmed. And suddenly those creative pursuits that bring us so much joy kind of get pushed aside.
That's incredibly common. It's easy to let creativity fall by the wayside when we're juggling work and family and all the other demands of modern life.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. We don't need huge chunks of time or elaborate setups to benefit from creativity. Even small bursts of creative expression can make a significant difference.
So what are some practical tips for incorporating more creativity into our daily lives, even when we're feeling strapped for time or uninspired?
One of the best pieces of advice I can give is to start small. Instead of feeling pressured to create a masterpiece or tackle a huge project, try setting aside just 10 or 15 minutes each day for something creative.
Okay, that feels much more manageable.
Yeah.
But what kind of things can we do in those short bursts?
It could be anything that sparks your interest. Doodling in a notebook, writing a few lines in a journal, listening to a piece of music that moves you, taking photos of things that catch your eye, dancing around your living room, experimenting with a new recipe. I mean, the possibilities are truly endless.
I love that. It's about finding those little pockets of time where we can infuse a bit of creativity into our day, even if it's just for a few minutes.
Exactly. And another tip is to create a supportive environment for your creativity to flourish. Surround yourself with things that inspire you, whether it's books or art supplies or music or natural elements, whatever speaks to your soul.
It's like setting the stage for creativity.
Yes.
Having a designated creative space, even if it's just a corner of a room, can really help get those creative juices flowing.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to experiment. The beauty of creativity is that there's no right or wrong way to do it. Try different activities, explore different mediums, and see what resonates with you.
Yeah, it's about giving yourself permission to play, to be curious, to discover what brings you joy. And sometimes it's about finding your tribe.
Right.
Like surrounding yourself with other creative people who inspire you and challenge you.
You're absolutely right. Creativity is contagious. Connect with other creative people, take classes, join groups, attend workshops. Their energy and enthusiasm can be incredibly inspiring and motivating.
Yeah, it's like being part of a collective creative energy field. And I think one of the most important things, especially when we're first starting out or trying something new, is to be kind to ourselves.
That's so important. Don't judge your creative efforts or compare yourself to others. Remember, everyone's creative journey is unique. Just enjoy the process, celebrate your own unique expression, and have fun with it.
This is all such great advice. I'm feeling inspired to go out and try all sorts of new things and to reconnect with some of the things I've let fall by the wayside.
That's fantastic, and I think that's really the heart of what we've been exploring. Creativity isn't just about making art. It's about living a more vibrant, joyful, and meaningful life. It's about connecting with our true selves, expressing our authentic voices, and tapping into the power of imagination.
And by doing that, we open up a whole new world of possibilities, not just for ourselves, but for the world around us.
Beautifully said. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive.
Yes. But before we do, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought. The world needs your creativity. It needs your unique voice, your perspective, your vision. So go out there, embrace your creative spirit, and let your light shine.
And remember, even the smallest act of creative expression can have a ripple effect, inspiring others and making the world a brighter, more beautiful, and more connected place.
Thank you so much for joining us on this incredible journey into the world of creativity and mental well-being. Until next time,